Speaking of views and your
Yes.
views,
Views.
thank you very much, Chipsters. 1,000 views plus on
We
YouTube.
got over 1,000 views on YouTube, which is a miracle to me. I didn't think that was ever going to be possible.
And it was like in less than 3 days.
Yeah. I feel like they still kind of censored us because it was like a ton of momentum. I feel like it could have kept going and then it just all of a sudden stopped, remember?
Right. At the very last, they were like, oh, we're almost at 1,000, almost at
And it
1,000.
just like,
And it took like almost a whole day to get those last 25, right? So, but thank you very much, Chipsters. We appreciate that.
yeah, it was a really fun show. I listened to it myself a few times, and it was a really good conversation. I think Alice, you did a great job. And it was just topics that you just don't hear anywhere else. That's what we try to do. We try to deliver you guys local New Mexico news, but also insights on geopolitics that you're not going to hear anywhere else because a lot of this stuff is kind of, you can run into a lot of the same stuff everywhere you go, especially with the mainstream conservative news. They're all kind of the same talking points. I've been referencing him a lot lately with Nino Rodriguez does a really good job keeping things fresh, keeping things different, and we want to even go beyond that and keep things completely different and fresh with what we're doing.
For those of you who may not know, he is here locally in locally, he's close by in El Paso,
Yep.
Nino Rodriguez, and you'll see him on Facebook and other places. But you know what I think was very good too is there's a reel, and you did such a good job, Zeke, of pointing out why it's not a good idea to be a Democrat.
Right.
And you hammered the bullet points so effectively.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen it, it's posted on our Chips and Salsa New Mexico Facebook site, and I know you've got it up there. You're sharing it
It's on
all the
Instagram.
formats.
Yeah, it's done good on Instagram. It's done good on Facebook. I also put it on YouTube. I hammered the Democrats, but the truth is I'm still friends with a lot of Democrats.
Sure.
A lot of these guys that and girls that are Democrats that I'm friends with, they
We're specifically targeting the far left radicals.
yeah, they take it on the
Really?
chin, and I was being a little dramatic, but my main point, kind of like with the New America thing, we're just talking about New America. I bring awareness to the hardcore emotion-pulling subjects, so that way we can bring awareness to it. Like New America, it seems crazy and it seems radical, but it's like in business, if something's failing miserably, you rebrand. Okay, New Mexico has been the worst educated state in the country for a very long time. We just broke another record basically for the most abused children in the country. That just came through. We scored even lower on the child well-being meter, And so, what would you consider a failed state? And New Mexico meets that criteria. We don't have representative government. Our kids are being lied, cheated, and stolen from as far as their education and future is concerned. Nobody wants to stay here. Everybody leaves this state. There's doctors leaving more than they're coming. I mean, I can go on and on. I'm just getting started. And I'm not even talking about Democrat politics. I'm talking about just New Mexico, which the Democrats have been running for however long. You rebrand. In the real world, if you get into a company and it's failing so bad, you got to do the opposite of whatever it is that you're doing. Otherwise, you're being insane. So that's my mentality. This state is in a lot of trouble. It's been screwing up for a long time. The Democrats have been running it for a long time. Why hold on to that name? It's like cursed at this point, in my opinion. I don't know, whatever.
Well, and of course, I'm a traditionalist, and growing up here, and even not that long ago, this is still a great place to live. People weren't leaving like they are. There's, we could spend a whole literal 2-3 hours and tell you everything that needs to be changed about New Mexico. But little by little, we always give you that information.
You had a new nickname for Las Cruces, didn't you?
Yeah, I was thinking about this. I was driving around yesterday, and if you live in the Las Cruces area, I know you probably get frustrated like me. Even during the daytime, it's very difficult to see the lines, just the regular traffic lines. I've noticed that once in a while they'll have an arrow that they just repainted. Like they need to go through all of the local streets here. And that's just one issue, okay, which I know does affect traffic. And at night, it's even more difficult to see. It's kind of a danger thing. But I was thinking, you know what? We really need to make Las Cruces livable again, because this used to be a great place to live. It was a wonderful place to grow up. It still has a lot of really good people and a good vibe here, but we can't let the far left take that away from us. And they've been doing that kind of a little too successfully. And I'm going to fight it, man. I don't care. I'm going to fight it because I know a lot of other people that feel like I do or think like I do.
And we were talking about it too, because it really didn't start until like Obama got in. Before Obama got in, this city was incredibly beautiful. It's one of the safest cities in the country. And, and I'll have this debate with former Mayor Miyagishima, but I mean, from what I understand, when he was in there for a long time, I think he's one of the longest standing mayors in American history. But he seems to have castrated the mayoral position. You know, they have no power. They have no power.
Well, yeah, I think only thing they can do is set the agenda, and they just vote.
That's it.
They're just another vote.
He gets-
Usually a tiebreaker. Oh, not even a tiebreaker in this city council because it's so left.
He gets paid 3 times less than the, unelected city manager. So essentially, an unelected official is running our local government. That is as un-American as it gets. There's other words I can use, but I'm going to say un-American. Okay? And I see that guy running around social media and whatever. That's cool, man. Like, you're the city manager. Great. But all that responsibility should be on the mayor. We elected the mayor. Therefore, he should be the one that bears all that responsibility and making sure the city's safe and making these ordinances and policies that deal with the police officers, with the taxation. They want to keep taxing us, just like a communist regime. More taxes, more taxes, more taxes, less accountability, less accountability, less accountability, less transparency. And it's just a pattern that we've seen through the centuries, okay? Unelected officials running amok with the taxpayer dollar. That's what we got going on.
And he is elected, okay?
Who is?
But I know what you're saying. You're the mayor.
Oh, I'm talking about
mayor.
the city manager.
Oh, okay. Oh,
He's
you're talking city
unelected.
manager. I was
Yeah.
gonna say, okay, I wanted to clarify that because I thought that's what you were talking
No,
about.
no,
and it
no.
sounded
The
different.
mayor should be doing that stuff. All the
But
ordinances.
you're right.
Yeah.
It's the city manager that runs it. And kind of keeping it a little bit local too. More recently, the county, Doña County,
Yeah.
they decided on this November ballot, there's going to be a bond issue.
Yeah.
And what it will do effectively is, I think if your house is like worth, valued at $250,000, it's going to raise your property taxes about $175. And I just want to make this point. Maybe I've talked about this before, but coming from Arizona, do you know that my house here is probably at least $150,000 less than the house we had there? Okay, when we sold it. I'm going to say just at that time, housing prices and everything. We got very lucky. And we
You
sold
sold
it
at a good time too, right?
We really did. However, our taxes are higher here. They're higher here, like by almost $400. So this is going to raise them because those things always pass. I'm going to vote against it. I already know, but I don't think I've ever seen a bond issue not pass. So that's going to be almost another maybe $200.
It's a sneaky way to rob the American people blind. I don't want to pay an extra penny in taxes until these people actually put forward some kind of transparency plan where we see where the money is going and coming and going. We saw how much fraud, waste, and abuse is going on the federal level, where there is some oversight, and there has been at least some oversight over the decades, and they were still running amok, robbing us blind. Imagine what they've been doing here in New Mexico, where there hasn't really been any oversight, and they've been in control for X amount of years. Like, I mean, look, you have to just think deductive logic. There's for sure going to be some stuff that we're wasting money on. For sure.
Well, just when I first moved back here about 3 years ago, what were they doing? They were changing the county logo.
Right.
And that they say, oh, that only cost about $150,000. Well, I know it didn't. Some people have estimated maybe $1 million. Will we ever really know? It was an unnecessary move, and we fought it, the CCIA, Coalition of Conservatives in Action. We fought it. It didn't need to be. It was a beautiful, wonderful logo which depicted history and the Spanish, but it just wasn't politically correct for them. So wasted resources to me and wasted money on that. So,
Yeah.
why don't you pay back some of that? It's very, very, very frustrating. So if you know about it, try to find out about it, and please vote no against it. Maybe even it may still pass. In my lifetime, I don't think I've ever seen, like I say, a bond issue that hasn't passed, but at least send a message and vote no. Because I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's necessary.
No, it's not necessary. And, I can't stress enough about how important prayer is. Like, we just did, I don't think we talked about it last episode, but we did our prayer with the Doña County Cowboy Church.
Yeah, how'd that go, buddy?
So the idea is we're initially going to do it with the Republican Party. There was some confusion with that, a little bit of pushback on that, which was fine. We didn't mind. So we're doing it under our own volition with some other local organizations. But the main thing, guys, was that we just wanted to pray for the community in some way, shape, or form, because we need it here. Like, there's good people here. We have amazing people here, and we just get hammered by our local government. I mean, we're getting hammered. So we prayed for child well-being. There's nobody else praying for the children. These are the most abused children in the country. We prayed for them. Youth violence is up significantly. I think 20-30% here in Las Cruces. That means that, teenagers are involved with more violent crime than ever before. It's up 20-30%, okay? So we prayed for them. And we want to pray for people to come together. We want to pray for people to get more involved and engage with their community, because that's what happens in civil rights movements is people dress nice and they come together and they pray. We do it peacefully. We do it legally. And that's how change actually comes about through our history. Even the founding of this country was brought about through prayer.
There is so much power in prayer. And do you know, Zeke, and forgive me for not knowing this, it's just that I never get to go to the local city council or county meetings. Do they have an invocation?
No, I got to do more investigation because there's a lot of wishy-washy laws. They've gotten rid of invocations. They've bringing them in. Like, I got to understand. I don't know. I haven't been paying close enough attention. Me, I'm always leaning towards the worst side of things. There's probably isn't an invocation, but I'll find out more and I'll report back to you guys.
Yeah, let's do our homework on that
Yeah.
and see. I want to know about the city council and the county as well, and even the state legislature. Hopefully they open with a prayer. Even if it was a moment of silence. It seems like a while back, maybe this is in the Phoenix area or one of the cities, there was just a big, huge controversy because when they were voting on it or deciding on it, then the Satanists came in and said, well, we want to say a satanic prayer too.
That's right, yeah.
So I think they ended up, I don't know what they did. But anyway, we won't find out about it. But it's talking about local, we're recording this on Father's Day here on Sunday. And yesterday, we actually did have some people show up for what they call No Kings, the No Kings thing, which I think is ironic and dumb because under the Biden administration, I agree with them. We shouldn't have any kings, and you should know better than us because for 4 years, come on, guys. And there were a few people. Did you go down there? I didn't go down there.
Yeah, I was actually planning on going out of town. I ended up going out of town, which is good because I got a lot of work done. I got caught up in a lot of work. But I inadvertently had to go cruise down through there, and I was like, crap.
This is downtown Las Cruces.
Yeah, right there in front of Brannigan Library off of Main and Picacho kind of area. And
across from the police station.
yeah, I saw a bunch of American flags, and it wasn't that full because it was hot as hell out there. And I saw a lot of people that I didn't really recognize. Like, there was a bunch of black people that I'd never seen before. I don't know. And school's not even really in session right now, so I don't know if, I don't know. It was weird to see a lot of people I just never recognized that was there. And, yeah, it kind of pissed me off, but not really because I know these people are super misguided. I think, look, we're not trying to get rid of all these illegal immigrants immediately or all of them together. That's impossible. It's unreasonable to suggest that we can get rid of all of them now. I mean, we won't have a handful of ICE agents, but what we are doing is we're focusing on the ones who are creating these heinous crimes against American people, and they waste a ton of tax dollars. All we want is to get rid of these hardcore illegal alien criminals, and save some of that money and divert it back to American citizens, back to veterans. This is all common sense, reasonable stuff. So I think if these people who are engaging in these nationwide protests were able to see, I mean, not all of them. Some of them are just too far gone. I mean, there was some crazy videos of girls flipping out. I don't know if you saw those.
No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, there was some like crazy.
Were they young girls?
Yeah, young white girls flipping out, screaming how they were raised in a Nazi nationalist evangelical home, and she wants to save their brothers, and I don't know. She was trying to stop ICE trucks from deporting people. It was just the weirdest thing ever. Anywho, a lot of those people would say, hey, these guys are raping, they're killing, they're burning people alive, they're doing the horrible things, and we're getting rid of them first. Maybe we should just let them do their job. I think we can get a good chunk of them with that, but some of them are just too far gone.
It blows my mind because what we're talking about is law enforcement, and they always try to clump it all together as immigrants. No, there are illegal aliens, people here who should not be residing here legally. There was a video, and can't remember who the gentleman's name is. It seemed like it was a German accent.
No.
And through the process of the interview, he was talking to this gal, identified herself as Jane Smith. When he asked who she was hesitant, said Jane Smith. And in the end, there was another lady, and they were comparing what was happening to the Holocaust. And you could tell it hit a nerve with him. And he said, no, this is not the same as the Holocaust. So he may have had in his history, I don't know how old he was or anything, but he did not like that. He was offended. Now, he didn't go off or go crazy or anything, but you're so right, because they want to compare it with that, and they think they can fool people. And sometimes they do. Sometimes they do with it. There wasn't any violence that I know of or heard of. But here's what's interesting, too. So the little stories that pop up on your phone, right? The Las Cruces Sun News, the local Las Cruces Sun News, they had a story about it. And it wasn't very long as far as the print that I read online. But they had so many photos And I don't think in any of the other stuff, like when we've done our pro-life demonstrations and things, they had just tons and tons of different photos. And you could tell the signs, some very professional signs, it was very organized. You knew that they were told to kind of keep a low profile, not low profile, but toned down more. I mean, that was the vibe. And I know what you're talking about when you say, you look at the people, you said, they don't look like they're from here, you know? Did you see a lot of Latinos, Hispanics down there?
Yeah, I saw a lot of couples. It looked like they were married couples. Some Hispanic, a lot of Hispanics. A couple of people rocking the Mexican flags. Not as many as I thought that there would be. Look, here's the other thing that people aren't trying to talk about, guys. Is like it's an invasion. All right, straight up, this is an invasion. It's not just Mexican and South American immigrants. We got Chinese folk around here. We got Middle Eastern folk around here.
So we should have those different flags too from the different countries.
You know, and that's the reason why I had a huge problem with open borders in the first place. Because now they're trying to utilize these illegals who don't have any respect for this country. They're not trying to assimilate. They're not legal immigrants whatsoever. And legal immigrants agree with everything I'm saying too. By the way, I've been seeing a lot of really cool videos of like legal Iranian immigrants who like
Just posted a great one. Guy was a veteran and from Iran.
Yeah. I saw that
Isn't
video
that
too.
great?
He killed it, and he was so just as a matter of fact, reasonable, short, concise. Like, hey, you guys are just crazy. You know what I mean?
Perfect.
He was pre-nailed it. And so, now they're coming over here, these illegals who have no respect for this country. They've been conditioned to hate this country. The plan has been to take over the Southwest first and then take over the entire country from there for a very long time. That's why you get like the Brown Berets are commies. Che Guevara is a communist as well. And Mexico is one of the most racist countries you'll ever go to. Like the real land of the free, home of the brave is America. This is where you're going to get treated on the contents of your character with your hard work and your merit the best. And out of anywhere in the world, I talked about that the last show, and that's more of a glaring important point than ever. Why would you want to be affiliated with Che Guevara and the Brown Berets and all these people who essentially, the Marxists throughout history, when they get into power, this is what they do. They decide collectively who dies and who gets to live, and they start just mass killing millions and millions of people. That just happens. So why? I think these people are just being lied to. If these people really understood the history and the culture of what they're like living towards or going towards with this Marxist ideology, they wouldn't engage in it. But man, it's so sad because they're toxified with the environment, the soy and the food, and they just feels like a lot of them are too far gone, Alice, unfortunately.
It's very sad. It's hard to watch, and again, that's why we do this
Yeah,
show,
it's
because
hard
we
to
want to
watch.
keep people informed. And if you hate this country so much, there was somebody on the street, and he said, if you hate this country so much, and you're out here protesting and saying horrible things about, why are you here? Why don't you just go back? Just go back or go somewhere else. But they won't. They won't, because the agenda is, as you said,
Yeah, take us over.
it's to change it. And I'm sorry, but that's not needed.
That's not gonna
And
happen.
I'm so glad that we have President Trump in there, and he's remained strong, and he stays solid, and that's what we needed. It didn't take long to take care of that border, and that border still not perfect. They're still having to do a lot of, they're going to add walls, and we're going to have to spend money, unfortunately, but that's going to have to be done. But that is solely because the last administration, we had 4 years. They're willing to admit like 20 million, but really you've heard as high as what?
Recently, people have been talking about it's been 50 million. You really start getting into the nitty gritty things, and you want to be full transparency. You want to start leaning towards 50 million. And that makes sense because you start saying 50 million. I mean, look, there's only how many people in New Mexico? 2 million?
Like 2.2 million
So
population.
that's 25 times the amount of people than the entire state of New Mexico that came into this country. 25 New Mexicos. I mean, that is crazy, guys. I mean, and they came in here legally. They were given tons of welfare benefits. They are here. This is a color revolution. America's been engaging in color revolutions in other countries around the world for decades. They're doing the same thing to us now. They had to soften us up with these stolen elections and the Biden e-pen,
auto pen?
The auto pen, with all these horrible policies that they put in place, the open border. They softened us up good. And then they attacked the American people with this fentanyl. The fentanyl deaths are through the roof. That's from China. So,
And I think my good friend Jeff Prather
we're at war right now.
from the Prather Point, the fentanyl, I believe he referred to it as a bioweapon.
It's a bioweapon, guys.
It's a bioweapon.
And what else could be deemed a bioweapon, perhaps, maybe? Oh, that's right.
Oh,
That's right, the
you have it.
Jabaruski.
The Jabaruski. That's
That's
code,
right. That's right.
code name.
So why would you use bioweapon? Oh, because you're at war. It's a slow kill is what they call it. It's a slow kill weapon. And it gets you over time. And then the toxicity in the food, they put more stuff in our food than anywhere else in the world. Most of the stuff that's in our food's banned in other countries around the world. But they just hunky-dorily put it in all of our food. These red dyes, these toxic sugar-free substances. I mean, we can go on and on about that.
It was a slowly but surely, and thank God again, President Trump put RFK Jr. in there. He's already getting rid of red dyes. He's doing a
Fluoride.
panel on the Jabaruski, and just there's all kinds of stuff happening that is good for our country because we do have to become healthy again too.
We do.
Really do.
We do. And we got to get close to God. God was what got this country to where it is. God's going to get us back to where we want to be. You know, I've been a big pusher of that lately. And I say God, I am a believer of Jesus Christ, but God is a more unifying thing, and that's cool with me. I am a big, believer in Jesus, and He is my Savior. But I'm not going to be out here preaching that to everybody. That's not my job. My job is to bring everybody back to the historical context of the foundations of this country, which was couched and founded in God. God is who bestowed these rights upon us. This is our land, our God-given rights of liberty, freedom, and pursuit of happiness. Okay?
I just posted, it was Charlie Kirk, and he was talking about this, and I'm trying to remember the quote. I put it, if you, the person that came up and was asking him a question was talking about Leviticus, and he just really did a great job. And this is a good idea. If you can go, if you're on Facebook, go to the Chips and Salsa Show New Mexico, because I try to keep all these posts there. And please give us a like. It's still kind of brand new, so we're not getting, as much traction on it. But when we talk about stuff, if it's really good, we try to post it on there, and we appreciate you sharing it too. We do need to talk also. Oh, do you want to quickly talk about the website, or you want to wait on that?
We talk about, real quick, I want to go back to Che Guevara. So Che Guevara was basically another Hitler reincarnated. He hated Mexicans.
Oh, he is awful.
He talked about how dirty Mexicans were and how they were too dumb to get to the next level. So you guys out here rocking your Che Guevara shirt and your Mexican flag, that's the most ignorant thing you can do. That's what I want to end on. Go ahead.
I think that's a good ending. No, just I wanted to say Zeke's been working hard, and we're going to have a little website up now because it's kind of hasn't been. It's been.
Well,
in
it's already
limbo.
up.
It was in limbo, and we're going to be connecting with the Chips and Salsa Show in Arizona as well. But you can go there now. It's chipssalsashow.net.
That's right, .net.
And you did a great job. You can look at our latest
Thank you.
episodes and all the platforms. And there's a little bio on us, which worked out pretty good.
Yeah, I got a great developer. Me and him worked together on it, and we got it done pretty quickly. It looks really nice. The only reason why I didn't really want to launch it, but you guys can go check it out. You can hit us up on email if you have questions.
Give us suggestions.
Yeah, but it's really nicely laid out. It has a breakdown of the foundings of the show and Alice's history and a little bit of my history. But it also has a chronology. Every episode that's uploaded is right there on the website. You can see the freshest episode right there. If you want to just get to the episode, boom. But we're gonna put a shopping cart in there. We're gonna start selling some stuff, Chips and Salsa shirt, just basic stuff, shirt. Maybe a coffee mug, whatever you guys recommend, whatever you guys think you want, you tell us. We'll buy it. We'll slap a sticker on it. We'll make it cool, make it fun, and and it helps the show, helps us expand. We want to do more shows around the state. Get guests in Santa Fe, guests in Albuquerque, Rio Rancho, and 1,000 views on YouTube is really good, guys. And so that really spiritually motivated me to, thank Alice for bringing this show here to New Mexico and put a website out there so we can get some more web traffic and procure more emails so we can hit you guys with some email blasts too and some more events that we're going to be doing. But yeah, chipsandsalsashow.net, chips N, the letter N, salsashow.net. Check us out. I'll be linking in all our socials, and I'll have the shopping cart up probably within the next week or two. If you guys can, please be so kind as to support us and purchase some swag, some Chips and Salsa swagaruski.
Nice, do that. And just I didn't mention this when we were talking about the county bonds that's going to go up that ballot, but
Yeah.
here it's $140 million in general obligation bonds. It's going to be on the November ballot. I was hoping that maybe they did that because of all the city council stuff lately, but it's actually a legal requirement. They have to put stuff like this on the ballot. It passed 5-0. So if you live in the Maricopa County, Arizona area, this is equivalent, the county commission is equivalent to the Board of Supervisors there. So we have county commissioners here. And this is for the enhancement of county fairgrounds, county recreation facilities, and county buildings from planning through construction. So I just wanted to add that little note on there. But you know what? Hey, I'm not trying to bounce back and forth so much, but what we
No,
also have
bounce.
to talk about too is Minnesota.
Minnesota, eh?
Minnesota.
Oh, what happened with those politicians over there?
Yeah.
Woo, no, that's a mean one. Yeah, let's get into that.
And so evidently, the woman was a legislator, right? Democrat legislator.
That's right.
Who voted with the Republicans.
She was about to flip over to being a Republican, apparently.
And she and her husband
Yeah,
were killed.
because they're both legislators. He was a senator, and she was a state rep.
And they found out that it was actually a Democrat. Or that's a suspect murder, right?
Yeah, it was
Suspected
another
murder-
Democrat
Murderer.
that had a bunch of this No Kings flyers in their car, handing them out like crazy. And there was a list of other people that they were supposed to go after. So this No King stuff, I try not to get too into it because I know it's pretty ominous. I mean, this is their uprising. This is the beginnings of their color revolution, and they want to get violent. I am not going to engage with them in violence and anything like that. I'm going to keep praying. I'm going to keep exposing the truth, and I'm going to stay the hell away from those people because that's just them being desperate. They have to bring about this violence, or they're screwed. The Democrat Party is done. There's no way they're ever coming back. They're never going to get power again. So either they blow things up now with an EMP or a nuclear weapon, or these color revolution, No Kings events, where they just try to false flag a MAGA supporter into making everybody think that he's the one that mowed down a bunch of people or whatever, which is what they're planning on doing. They want to mow down a bunch of black people or a bunch of minorities and say there was a MAGA person that
And
did
blame it
that.
on MAGA.
Yeah. So unless they do something like this, they're done. So we just got to keep staying the course, stay out of their way. Give them all the rope that they want to hang themselves. I ain't getting involved with it. That's me though. I know there's other Republicans and MAGA supporters who have different perspectives on this. I respect all that. This is just me.
It's hard to do that. One thing that we did a pretty good job with, I think, is putting it out and saying that, because we know that that's her plan. We've seen it done before.
Yeah.
Put a MAGA hat and stir up a bunch of
Jan
crap
6?
and blame it, on that movement. And that's really not our style. I'm not saying there is not one person that will do that. Yeah, because there's always a crazy one out there. But I think we did a really good job. And I can't remember who did this rant. I probably posted it. But you and I know have talked, and I feel like we'll keep doing this. Keep going out there and fighting for the non-citizen when all of America, so many Americans need your support. But keep fighting for these persons that are potentially, it is a crime what they're doing if they're in this country residing illegally, because it benefits our side. It really does, because we're about the rule of law. Now, I think the president is getting ready to maybe look at some things again, but again, the focus has always been on the hardcore criminals. I mean, we know that there's cartels involved, and there's so many bad things happening with illegal immigration. I've been following this for such a long time, and I know you have too.
Oh yeah.
And the bad elements of it, it's just, let's clean it up. If you're a good person and you want to come in here and do it the right way, God bless you. We want you in here. We want good Americans. And immigrants that do it the right way, they are sometimes the best patriotic, some of the best patriotic
More often
Americans
than not, they
ever.
are. Yeah, more often than not.
You know?
They're super grateful to be here because they've been through some hardcore persecution.
So-
And yeah, real quick on that same note, the fall of the Roman Empire. Okay, they couldn't find soldiers to go against their opposition that was within their own empire. So this is a very traditional thing. These corrupt governments will bring in illegals to be their militia, to be their freaking arm. And that's what we got going on
And
here. It's the
remember
same
all
thing.
the guys crossing the border? They were pretty young men.
Military
They weren't
age,
fat,
yeah.
and they were in pretty good shape. Looked like a recruitment for an army. It really did. Very few women and children.
Yeah. So that's what we're going through, guys, whether you want to accept it or not. That is what's going on. And I pray to God that we can handle this stuff peacefully and we can just move on and experience the America First booming economy that we've all voted for, that we all wanted. And it looks like that's what's going to happen. We're doing a lot of amazing things economically throughout the world. A bunch of money getting invested into this country, trillions of dollars. We're getting people educated. There's so much to do and that we're doing, but man, they're really trying to stop. And they're trying to let's get into the war. Do you want to get in the war over there on the other side, the overseas stuff, or where are we going?
Before we get into the
Where
war,
are we
though,
going?
I want to ask you, What do you think will be their next move? So, were they still going to protest today on Sunday? Do you know if that was a plan? It was Saturday because it was
it's gonna
Flag
keep
Day,
going. Yeah,
Trump's birthday. Because I really think some of these people were probably bussed in. You know, they're moving these people. They're professionals. They have those wonderful signs. The signs are even, they're the same in the different
all
cities
fresh
that they
American
go.
flags.
You know, what do you think is their next move?
Well, they didn't expect Trump to win. I mean, I think from what I understand, up until a couple of days before the election, they thought Kamala Harris was going to win. They're going to have things rigged. So we caught them off guard. They've been able to reassess, recalibrate, and now they're launching tons and tons of money at these No Kings events. And they found one of the owners of Walmart, who's worth billions and billions of dollars. There's that Ben and Jerry CEO, who's worth billions and billions of dollars. So I think they're going to keep throwing money at these organizations, these No King style organizations. But Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, they need to start. And I think it was a Congressman Matt Gaetz. Well, it's not a congressman anymore, but he had this really good point over the weekend where who cares about arresting a couple hood rats, a couple hoodlums here and there that do stupid things? Like, we need to start going after the people that are funding these uprises.
Right.
Giving them the bricks, giving them the flag, giving them the money. They're getting paid like $200
It'd be one thing if it were just signs, but you say bricks.
and they're getting paid.
It's violence.
They're getting paid a lot of money to be out there and to desecrate this country and the founding principles of this country. So I would hope and pray that Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, and Kash Patel, the Director of FBI, could go after these people who are funding these programs, because those are the ones who are funding these horrible elections too. So you get rid of the snake's head on these, figuratively speaking, then a lot of the snake's body follows. In my opinion, that's what we should be doing. But yeah, I foresee more of these No Kings events. They want this. They want this.
But you're right, so much money. And they probably, the Pam Bondis of the world and Kash Patels, they're probably not going to be super vocal about it and give out too much detail. But you saw videos, if you're on social media at all, and people were saying, yeah, they offered me $200 to do this. And I thought about doing it just to go out there. Because, $200 just to be out there for a few hours, that's pretty good money.
And we're still not in a booming economy yet. We're still working. If you remember 2016, it took about 2016, 2018 for the economy to start really hitting the average person. So a lot of people are still hurting out there. They really are thinking about it. Even though they love this country, that's the point of crashing the economy. They want people to choose evil out of desperation. That's the whole point. That's like everything right there in a nutshell. Like, these are decent people who are being transparent and forthcoming on social media. I honor and respect that.
Right.
But they're just like, look, dude, I'm in such a bad situation. I actually considered it. That's freaking so sad to me, man.
It really is. But they did learn, I don't think we saw as many Mexican flags out there.
No.
All of a sudden you saw the American flag. And I don't think they burned it either.
That was
I
on
saw.
purpose. That was on purpose.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, because
Absolutely.
if they were out there flying around Mexican
They
flags,
learned.
whoo, that would have.
But that's how they started. That's how they started in L.A. In fact, we're going to try
Not smart. Not
next
smart.
week. To those of you who've been following the show for a while, we used to have my friend Preston Romero, who lives in California Chaos now. We used to call him the Millennial Muchacho. And hopefully next week, if we can make it happen, we'll have him join us and kind of give us the Cali report. So many people are leaving California, and rightfully so.
I've been
I
leaving.
think so many people, I've talked to Californians, they want to leave, but you can't sell your house now. It's hard to sell your house
Why?
because nobody wants to move there. I've heard, or
Oh,
they have fires,
oh,
and it's so
man.
expensive.
That's
the houses
not
are so
good.
expensive.
That is
but
not
yet
good.
Florida is what? They've gained population like almost 2 million people or something. And I know, I've been here about 3 years. There's about, I think, at least 5 of my friends, and they've moved from Arizona to Florida. We've done that, and that's a great place to be. If you didn't have hurricanes and my family was there, I might think about it. I don't know. But New Mexico is worth saving. It really is. So let's see. Anything else you want to touch on? Let me just look at my
New Mexico
list
is
really
indeed
quick.
worth saving. I mean, look, here's the thing, guys, is if we can just still continue to come together, focus on God, hang around like-minded people, we can still turn things around here in Las Cruces. This place is still salvageable. However, we will face hardcore opposition. I've been facing hardcore opposition just for being me. I've a lot of people know who I am, and in a bad way. I am the enemy for the progressives here in Las Cruces. I am the most outspoken.
That's a good title.
But I like it. I don't mind it at all because I'm just talking about reasonable stuff. And I know that like so recently the legal immigrants, they've got a 40-point swing towards the MAGA. Okay, 40-point
I
swing.
think it's 42.
I think it's probably more. It's probably more because that's just
Amazing.
what they're telling us.
Right.
So I know what we're saying in that we want the illegal immigrants who are hardcore criminals the hell out of here, and we want to build that freaking wall. That is the same sentiment as legal immigrants and the rest of the country. This is like a 90-10 issue. This is a no-brainer. And yet they still lob billions and billions of dollars to go against it because they don't want to be reasonable. They don't want to save this country. We are the threat. Our freedom, our ability to be self-sufficient and be strong and have good warrior mindset soldiers, which we're getting now finally with because they changed the ad commercials up for the military for like warrior oriented people, and guess who's joining the military now?
Yeah.
They had a bunch of LGBT
Good numbers.
Yeah, good LGBTQ ads or LGBTQ ads before. Guess who was joining when they did that? Now we got warrior ads. Guess who's joining now? So look, we're a threat to the rest of the world. We're the most free country in the world. Of course they're going to come after us. Of course the globalists are going to try to hammer us. And that's it. We're at ground zero here in Las Cruces, in my opinion.
We still are, and we want to keep it that way. And I have my little headline and talking about the King's demonstrations, whatever.
Yeah.
When they did I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but when they were looting stores, like in LA, they break in stores.
Yeah.
And they broke into the iPhones, and it was really cool because the story that I saw. So if you were going to take an iPhone, all of a sudden there's a warning. It says, "Hey, there's a warning. If you take this, we're going to track you. Plus, the phone's not going to work." And I thought that was so cool. But to see that, just, if you're going to try to convince someone to be on your side, how powerful is it to just show video, these guys breaking the windows down and breaking into stores and stealing property that's not theirs.
And they're usually legal. There was one in LA where it was a legal Mexican immigrant. He owned his gas station. He was like a Mexican guy. He's like, "Hey, no, please." He didn't know barely any English, but he was a legal immigrant.
But he was legal.
And they freaking hit him over the head with a freaking bat, and they started robbing his store. That doesn't look good.
That tells you where they really are, and they're real motives too.
It's not good, man. It's actually quite horrible. This is. I'm grateful to God that we haven't really experienced anything like that around here in Las Cruces. They want that here, but I'm not going to engage with them like that. But things can get bad real quick here. There's a lot of black pill stuff going on right now. A lot of people have been losing faith, MAGA supporters especially. So we got this stuff going on here in America with the Kings and overseas.
Did you say MAGA supporters?
Yeah. I mean, I've been listening to a lot of people over the weekend, and the guys I listen to are always optimistic. But a lot of other guys I listen to too, because I try to get a diverse intake on things. They're just like, look, these No Kings events are going to be the beginning of the end. They're going to false flag it. They're going to bring in martial law. They're going to usher in these AI controlled networks that they put in that bill recently, where AI basically controls everything, and it's going to be over, man. And then you look overseas where they're dragging us into war with Iran, and you learn more about that. It's like there's just a lot. We need to just pray to God.
And there is so much going on. You can't help but think it's on purpose that things are happening.
Yeah.
Because that way you can't stay focused. And I give credit to President Trump and his team. But MAGA people, conservatives, Republicans, patriotic Americans, you got to stay focused and do what you can and try to get as best information as you can. And we hope that you get it here. And if there's something you think we have wrong, and then you can send us the information. Again, I try to keep up with it. I know they send you a lot of stuff. They send me a lot of stuff. And we just do the best that we can. Just before we leave the topic of New Mexico, because we do want to talk about Israel, I saw a story, in case you missed it, because this is New Mexico based, but evidently the legislature spent a bunch of money, and they have a Route 66 center. Did you hear about this?
No.
So they spent a bunch of money on it, and the bummer is nobody goes there. Nobody goes there, and they sunk $13 million. And at first I thought, because
Boondoggle.
I've always wanted to just take the Route 66, it goes through Arizona and New Mexico. That'd be really cool. But, yeah, like you say, it's a boondoggle. And one thing that I was reading in the article, it's not right there. You think, okay, cool, it'd be right off it's about a half mile off. So it should have been right there, right off Route 66. I mean, it looks like a great idea. They had pictures. It looks beautiful, wonderful. So, but my goodness, see, that's what we're talking about. $13 million. What the heck, dude?
The Democrats have been caught
the heck?
with the whole solar program. Remember that? Biden did this. So they put billions and billions of dollars into building new solar stations, and not one got built. You know, and it's like, I don't trust anything these people are doing. These guys are robbing us blind. And that's the actual pinnacle of a corrupt state and a failed government state, is they just rob us blind of all of our money. That's what made this country in the first place. The crown was taxing us to hell, and we just said, you know what, no more. Because they even knew back then how these people were just robbing us with our own money, taking our own money, and they were spending it on stupid stuff so the freaking king could eat freaking high-end turkey dinners with his people or whatever. Whatever they were doing back then, it's probably a complete waste of money, worse than it is now back then. So they're doing it again, and
Yeah, and we let them. We let them.
I don't know how we're going to hold them accountable. I really don't know, because, I mean, look at the trouble that President Trump's going through right now. You know, it's like he caught these people red-handed. Red-handed. A lot of these people should be getting arrested already with the types of treasonous acts that they've done, the types of robberies that they've done, and they're still running around. So
did you see his
it's
response?
tough.
He's like, "Kings, I don't feel like a king. Everything I do is really hard to do." And there's a whole soliloquy about that, and I agree. Yeah, this is not our government. We don't have kings. But if you're on the left, you're not thinking about the last administration. I really, or maybe you just don't know about it. But come on. But I agree. Yeah, no kings, and just quit wasting our money. But $13 million, and it's closed. The center's not even open.
Well,
It's closed.
we've got the power in number. That's what trips me out with this no kings thing. It's like, look, we won, even with the cheating, with the landslide, a really good looking landslide, and even President Trump won southern New Mexico. You know, even with the cheating. So,
But yet Yvette Harrell lost by 11,000 votes.
ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah, and Michael Caine lost as well by about the same amount of votes. It's ridiculous. So it's a trip to me that they have the gall to keep pushing the way they do. And imagine had Kamala Harris got in there, they would have done with the same thing. They're still behaving as if Kamala Harris won. You know, the way that they're kind of doing things. But they would have had the arm of the government backing them. They would have came after the MAGA supporters. They would have jailed my ass for sure.
They would have got you for something.
And I'm mentally prepared to go to a gulag. It's not over yet. My ass might end up in. Guys like me usually end up in a gulag for at least a little bit, you know. So I know that I have a really, really high chance of ending up in a gulag for a while. So pray for me. I pray for myself. I pray for a lot of things. But look, they hate guys like me. And like I said, communist regimes through history, as soon as they get into power, they give me the friggin', you know, that's what they do. And I know that. So I'm not trying to do the same thing to them. I want to bury them with the law. I want them to go through a fair trial. I want them to have their fair hearing. And I need them to get their fair punishment. We need to make sure that they get held accountable.
It is all about the rule of law.
Rule of law.
It really is. That's what our country. That's a whole difference. That's a whole difference. And there aren't any other. Is it still the case? There aren't any other countries who just let people in. They learned their lesson. You know.
Well, the ones who did are
Without being
paying
vetted.
for it bad right now. Look at
And,
Europe.
and they cut it off. A lot of them said, "Oh, you know what? No more. We can't do this." It's been a process. It's been happening for a long time.
Europe is too far gone. If I lived in England right now, I would be gone. You know, Italy's almost gone. The new president's been doing pretty damn good, actually. Italy has a chance. Spain is gone. Germany is gone. Poland is doing okay. Finland is gone. Sweden is gone. You know, most of Europe is taken over, especially France. I mean, France is just absolutely bonkers. It's the Muslims, you know, and I love my brothers of Islam, you know, I do. I've no Palestinians, and I've hung out with Muslims my whole life, but when you really start to break down, you know, what they do is they take over countries. Like, look at India. India was all that Middle Eastern area, all that was India for the longest time, but the Muslims went in there and they took it over, and we can't have that around here either. You know, they want to open up mosques in Texas and all that stuff, which is okay. You have a freedom to do that. But when they come out here and they specifically say, well, we want to take over, that's not something that we should be accepting. You know, we need to be assimilating to American values, to our laws, and so on and so forth.
And you know, this is probably about, wow, I don't think we'd even bought our house yet. So it's over 20 years ago, living in Phoenix. And a good friend of ours, she had immigrated from England. So she'd go back every once in a while to go see her brother. But she loved America, very patriotic. And even back then she was saying, you know, Alice, when I go back, my area, it's not a majority of English people there. The Muslims were already coming there. And that's over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah, when I lived
slowly but surely.
I lived in Italy back in 2005, 2007, and even then it was nothing but Islams, and it was a ton of them.
All right. And the good news too, in New Mexico, Homeland Security accelerates border wall construction in New Mexico and Arizona.
Good.
Things are happening. And did we discuss KRWG contacting you? Do you
No,
wanna
I
mention
mean,
that?
so they contacted me on behalf of the Republican Party. I'm second vice chair, and so this is my commentary, Zeke, my personal commentary on the interview. And basically, and I've talked to this guy a few times, I just got done running 6 miles in 100-degree weather. I wasn't in the best mood, but I do keep my phone on me just in case sometimes. And so he's calling. I'm like really rude. I'm like yes, and he told me who he was. And it said NMSU, which I already don't like.
And that's, KRWG, that's the PBS outlet.
Yeah, it's a PBS outlet, which was getting a lot of USAID money. I think they cut that off too.
They cut that. Boom.
Thank Christ. And that guy's been super cool with me lately. Actually, he's been calling me all year for interviews.
And just for a couple of points, they actually do cover some local news.
He's been great. Once he told me who he was, I think it's Coker.
Yeah, I think it is Coker.
Coker. I forget his last name.
that
Shout out to you, man. You've been cool. And I know he's a Democrat, but he's reasonable, and he's been interviewing me all year. And when I realized who it was, he told me his name. I lined up big time. I was like, hey, what's going on, man? How can I help you, sir? And he's like, hey, can we get some quick comments from you on the No Kings protest? And even though I wasn't in the best mood, I was really sharp at that time because I was really focused, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. So he just like, well, so hey, what's your take on these No Kings events? What are your feelings on it here locally? What do you think's going on? And I was like, well, basically, if most of these people understood what was really going on, I think their energy is misguided, misdirected. If we were to have a real discussion about, we're trying to deport the worst of the worst, the real criminals, and I talked about it earlier, the real criminals. These guys are raping girls, they're stealing, they're doing the worst stuff. We want to get rid of them first, and we want to redivert those resources that they're getting towards Americans, towards veterans, and that's the main thing. And he's like, he got real deflated, because he wanted me to say some fiery, inflammatory stuff. But I mean, I know that's a 90-10 issue. I just talked about this a second ago, but we all want illegal immigrants. The only other 90-10 issue that I know about is LGBTQ being pushed on the kids. Nobody likes it. Those are like the two main things. Nobody likes illegal immigrants being here that are criminals. Everybody wants them gone, even legal immigrants.
How can you be against that?
Yeah, get them out of here. LGBTQ being pushed on children, another hot button 90-10 issue. Nobody likes it. I don't even care if you're gay, if you're Democrat, if you're black, you're white, you're a guy, you're a girl. Nobody likes that.
And not telling parents in the schools.
Yeah.
Just kids can.
Those are easy. So I pulled him into a 90-10 issue, and he didn't like that. I mean, I don't think he realized what was going on. I mean, you might be listening to this right now. I don't know if you knew what was going on, man, but it seemed like he wanted some inflammatory remarks, but I don't really have anything inflammatory to say. That's the truth. Why are we getting all upset with these No Kings events for these deportations of these hardcore criminals that we already know most people agree with it? So what are we doing here? What is the point of all this? I don't get it.
You
Explain
didn't give
to
him
me.
any sensational remarks.
No.
You just listed facts and what we really think. And you represented the Republican Party here in Doña Ana County.
I did.
And that's a difference in the Republican Party. We're not perfect. No, we're not. We're conservative. We're not perfect. But we do not think like the far left Democrats. And they are exposing their agenda big time.
I always go out of my way to extend the olive branch and have real philosophical, reasonable discussions. Like I told him, it's not reasonable to have ICE agents get rid of all 20 million immigrants right here, right now. That's not reasonable.
It can't happen.
It's
yeah.
not possible. But what we can do and what is reasonable is get rid of the criminals, the people who are doing these horrible crimes. And that's it. That's just. I like having those kinds of discussions, and I want to have that's what I encourage them. I was like, look, if we could just come to the table and have a reasonable, fair discussion, I think most people wouldn't be behaving like that. They'd be behaving otherwise.
And what's fueling this also is so many of the sanctuary cities who are just being so bold and saying, no, we're not going to work with the feds. That's terrible. We're not going to do that. Well, why aren't you going to work towards law enforcement? Isn't that what you're supposed to do? You swore an oath to the Constitution. You're trying to represent and protect your community, but yet you're going to do that? I mean, it's so revealing to me.
Yeah, I don't know how you don't understand people, like if you're a Democrat right now, like these are treasonous acts. These are their voter base. These are illegal immigrants that they were planning on having them be their voter base. So if you You get into a time where illegals are voting. They're going to vote their interests, which aren't the interests of the countrymen. That's a takeover. That's treason. And that's what you want. You want to support these people who are supposed to be your future voter base, man, instead of getting rid of these illegal criminals. Like, bro, how much more clear can you get? Like, okay, fine. You're cool with it? Then just, you know what? Put on your freaking hammer and sickle shirt and go about your business and say, and admit it. Like, yeah, I'm trying to start a coup against this country and I don't like America. Okay, cool. You are now a suspect. You are now on the terrorist watch list because that's what it is. Political violence is terrorism. And that's what these people are doing with these No Kings events. There's all kinds of violence going on with these No Kings events. They don't report it, but there is. Look at the guy who just killed those legislators who had No Kings flyers all over his car.
And has Waltz responded to that? Has he made a statement?
No, but the guy, so
Governor Waltz?
how they did it, he showed up in a patrol vehicle.
Right, he pretended to be an officer, right?
Yeah, and he had the uniform and a badge and everything. So, man, there's a lot of investigation going on. They're getting desperate. To me, this is a good thing because they're overtly just doing crazy things and not even thinking about the consequences anymore.
Yeah, how do you defend that? How do you defend that?
As a Democrat, how do you defend that?
You just can't. I don't think that you can. And the fact that Waltz, remember, he was running with Kamala and loves to criticize the Republican Party.
Open border Kamala Harris. That's what I like to call her.
Open border, yeah, absolutely.
And Tim Wall, I mean, he's a leader of the new, revolution. It's him sponsoring these No Kings events. It's the
Always doing that
yeah,
stuff.
he's so freaking. I don't know. I do what I can to stay in shape and to keep my testosterone levels up. And I see all these people. I posted a funny ass little real meme on our Instagram, on the Chips and Salsa Instagram, and it was a kickboxing gym that had a LGBTQ and the what's the other one, the turquoise colors. It's the transgender flag.
Oh,
they had it in the background, and it's like what did it say? It was LGBTQ and the transgender training to fight MAGA, right? And it's like the most pansy people you've ever seen. Like, is
it was a parody.
yes, okay. No, it was real.
That was real.
It was real. Yeah, and it was like, I'll try to put a link into. I'll put a link into it. I
haven't seen it.
I'll put a link into that. It's hilarious. You guys gotta check it out. I'll put a link of that into the descriptions and the YouTubes, and then I'll also put the Follow the Cabal link to the first episode. So you guys, I talked about the last episode. I'll put a link to it. So if you guys want to check it out, see if you want to go down that rabbit hole. I'm encouraging you to look around the rabbit hole, sniff it if you will, and if you want to go further, you can go watch the whole 10-part series. But yeah, that was hilarious. There's obviously a big depletion of testosterone in that gym. And you can just smell the soy through the camera.
Smell the soy.
I mean, these guys were
smell the soy.
low
Like
T. Low T.
Oh, man. Okay, I think we've hit local, county, New Mexico. So
Been
our
all over the
last
place.
time, we've got to hit Israel. We've got to talk about what's going on
The
there.
Israelis.
That's always been really hard for me to keep up with
Yeah.
and be educated on. So I'm going to have to kind of defer to you. I tried to watch a little bit of the news shows today.
Yeah.
President Trump gets a lot of criticism, and we don't want people to die. But it's not looking that wonderful.
Well, I went out of my way to learn a little bit more over the weekend because that's
Thank
just
you.
something that I thought that was important because it's big news.
It is important too.
And so what's really going on over there is it's a Muslim takeover. The Ayatollah, the rulers of Iran, they don't represent the real Iranian people. The real Iranian people are Persians. And before they had that Islam kind of conversion, anything back in the 50s or 60s, they were super pro-America. Even Saddam Hussein was big time super pro-America. And Saddam Hussein worked for the CIA and did the CIA's bidding since he was like 19, and they betray him at the end. But Iran, used to love liberty, and they weren't always as oppressive as people think they are. And I know a lot of Iranians too. They're cool as hell. Just like you said, there's that Iranian video, that American this
I
weekend.
just love that guy.
That was
Make
awesome.
sure you guys watch it. I'm going to post it again.
And I could put a link to that too in the description. That's a good video too.
was awesome.
He hammers it. But yeah, so ISIS is who runs Iran now. They did a coup, and now it's the leader of ISIS is now running. But they're saying, oh, he's not bad ISIS, he's the good ISIS, whatever that means.
The good. Okay.
And so, and Israel's been very antagonistic. We can't, I'm not one of those Republicans like, oh, that's our biggest ally. It's like, look, that was a stand down, guys. And October 7th was an absolute stand down. You can't convince me otherwise. I mean, was one of the best militaries on planet Earth, with the Iron Dome and, all of their secret services and all that stuff. And they get attacked and, nothing, crickets for the whole day, pretty much. Like, so they're antagonizing the Middle East, and they want us to go to war. They want to drag us into these wars that we shouldn't have anything. I don't want anything to do with any of that. That's their own stuff. I don't want to see us, and one nuclear bomb, if it goes off and it hits a little bit of cobalt, I think it's like a pound of cobalt. That's radiation in the area for like billions of years. It basically destroys the planet. So we cannot let these people blow up each other with these nuclear weapons, So the same people who control these No Kings events, these globalists, they are also in control of a lot of other countries because they've been investing and taking over these countries for decades. So they're going to use everything they can to make sure America fails, whether it's from overseas, dragging us into these wars that we don't want nothing to do with, like Ukraine and Iran and Israel, and which are all corrupt. They're all corrupt. I don't think Israel is someone that we should just be saying, oh, no matter what, we should be backing them up. I don't agree with that. Or they're going to get us with our own people, these illegal immigrants here in America. So we, the people, and President Trump and his administration, we're facing a lot of opposition from global opposition right now, and it's really important to stay close to God. It's really important to see what's really going on. And my take on the whole thing going on with Iran and Israel and all this stuff is that they're trying to drag us into these wars so they can distract us, so they can take over this country still. And it's just all multifaceted distraction, chaos, problem solution, Hegelian dialectic stuff. Cloward and Piven, problem solution stuff. That's what we're dealing with, guys. And I don't really know what the answer is. All I know is that in times of stress and war, we got to pray. And that's what I'd be doing. That's what I'd be doing, guys.
That's our best option. It really is. Well, I will try to get more educated and informed about it. It's sometimes hard to follow, but I think you nailed it pretty good. I think you gave a pretty good synopsis.
Iran, from what I understand, are actually really good people there, and the leaders, they don't really want the Ayatollah. It's a dictatorship, and the people of Iran don't like it. They don't want it, but they're just as subject to their dictatorship the way that we are here in New Mexico.
Well, I was going to say, it seems to be that way. That people are busy trying to eat, make a living, and raising their kids, and the people above that are running things, you can't always trust them, but at least here in America, you have a voice, so try to use it, please.
Yeah, and the Israelis have been known to just drive around and shooting kids in the crotch, and that's on camera. That's been reported, and raping people like crazy, military gang rapes and stuff like that. So I'm not going to sit here and just back Israel because that's just what we do. And the sad thing is the Israeli government owns and funds a lot of the Republican Congress, a lot of them. So and they do that all over the world. Israel has a lot of power, man. That's the reality of the situation, is they have a ton of power. And so it's not that far out there, that fringe, to be like, hey, I want to put some limits on our relationship with them because I've seen them do some crooked stuff. And I don't even really care. I don't care. I still to this day don't like talking about it because Las Cruces is falling apart. New Mexico is falling apart. Arizona, our own country, needs attention and love and money and funds and focus, but we keep getting pulled into these crazy proxy wars that mean nothing, that cost us money, that get us further into trouble. And I just don't like it. I don't want anything to do with it. I'm truly a man of peace. I want more. I want peace. I want Israel and Iran to just, hey, man, let's just all focus on making money, man. Why are you guys all trying to blow each other up? Like, geez, what's going on?
So it's just keep watching. That's all we can do, but focus on the local. You're right. We can do that. Okay, we are down to our last few minutes. What have we not talked about? We hit Las Cruces. Always a plug for CCIA, the Coalition Conservatives in Action. By the way, I didn't get to make the last meeting, but they did live stream it. So if you live in the local Las Cruces area, they had the codes guy on, and I think a water guy. So you could go to their Facebook site and you could watch the presentation there. But if you're in the area, Thursday, 6 p.m. on Telshore, it's right next to the Rudy's Barbecue. You can't miss it. Also, a little shout out for my women's club, Doña Ana County Federated Republican Women. We had a little zip code social. Again, I was able to make it. It's busy. It's hard to make all these things. But shout out to our good friend Debbie Schultz, who is always keeping good speakers there at the club. And our next meeting will be, it's always like the last Thursday of the month. Anything else we got to plug?
Yeah, shout out to Business Coalition. I went to the meeting this past Monday. It was a pretty good turnout. Mr. James Prince announced his candidacy as a Democrat for sheriff, for Doña Ana County Sheriff. I think he did a pretty good job. And it was just cool to see, it's cool to see the business owners come together. I run in there. I'm a business owner too, and I know most of the people that are in there.
It's a good turnout there?
Good turnout. Good people, and just give them a shout out to Donna Stryker and Vic Villalobos, and those guys who are still.
Donna's a bulldog, man.
And
She's
Marcy,
awesome.
yeah, Marcy Dickerson was there. These are real movers and shakers in the community, and they're doing what they can to enact change here peacefully. So shout out to them. Those are some great organizations in this community. I encourage everyone to get involved with either one of them, whether it's you're a business owner like me, you want to give all the business coalitions, some good people there, you get some good information there. CCIA, you want to get a little bit more involved, you want to understand and learn a little bit more, you can go with CCIA. FRW, I'm an associate.
And everybody's welcome, by the way. Excuse me for interrupting.
No, sure.
CCIA, you don't have to be a Republican
No.
to go there. It doesn't matter.
I'm an affiliate member of FRW, Federated Republican Women's. Even though it's a women's organization, I'm an affiliate member. I still get the same rights, basically, and I get to go to meetings, and I do go.
He can't vote because he's a guy, but
Yeah, I
that's
can't
okay 'cause it's
vote.
women's. But we still have associate members. My husband and Zeke.
I go and hang out, and I support them. And anyone who's coming together to help this community in the spirit of America, I'm going to support them. And that's what I do. I'm a huge fan of FRW. Big shout out to the Doña Ana County Cowboy Church. They can't really get too involved politically, but I'm just saying from a spiritual aspect, I love the fact that they're going out of their way to pray for the community the way they are. That is something that I've wanted to see a spiritual leader from the community do since I got into God. And they're doing it. So shout out to you guys, Pastor Rice and all them, and Tricia Kian, who's also involved with FRW.
She's pres.
These are
She's
just
president.
great people, guys. Get involved. Go to church. Don't a Cowboy Church. Hang out with them. Hang out with FRW, CCIA, a business coalition. These are great. You would be blown away with the quality of people that you run into.
And
Great people.
They're doing things. They really are.
Yeah.
They are engaged, and that's what. And even if you can only do it in a very minute way, maybe it's writing a $10 check to your favorite candidate, or just sharing this podcast. Okay. Evidently, you guys did a really great job last time because we had 1,000 views. So let's do it again. Let's go 2,000.
Yeah,
We're ready.
let's keep it going. I mean, the goal is to get to 2,000 as soon as possible. If we can get to 2,000 views, that's huge. And then the ultimate goal is obviously to get to 5,000 subscribers. If we can get to 5,000 subscribers, that's been really...
That even increased a little bit. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
we've been going up. We're about to hit 200. So
We'll
yeah,
take it.
keep subscribing, keep viewing. We love you guys. We will be having a guest on here real soon. Actually, next Sunday. We're going to
next
have
Sunday.
her friend on via Zoom, and we're going to plug them in, and then we're going to have more local guests come in as well. And I know that once we start doing the guests, things are going to cook up because that's when the conversations start getting real crazy.
Absolutely, absolutely. And feel free to comment. I try to keep up with the comments and read what you're writing there. But yeah, next week, Preston Romero lives in Sacramento, California, and he actually works for a state legislator. He is a Republican, and he'll give us the report from the California chaos, okay? But we're
California
here
chaos.
to make Las Cruces livable again.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the fastest way. I mean, look, the important thing is to pray, guys. Like, if you can't, I'm going to be announcing the next episode. I'll announce it for sure. But over this week, I'm going to announce where we're going to be doing the next monthly prayer session at. And we had a really good turnout. And I just, it was so powerful. We all sat there and prayed together, prayed for the children, prayed for our community. And it just felt so good. You can feel the spiritual intent that was in that room. And it was such a powerful thing to be a part of. I encourage you guys to come join us at the next one, if you guys can. And I know that if we can start keep bringing people together for prayer like that, for positive reasons, free of judgment, anybody can come. It's open to anybody, whatever denomination you are, whatever political party you are. You're welcome to come and pray for the community with us. We really appreciate that.
That is a true diversity. When you go to a prayer event like that, everything, ages, all different ages.
Yeah. And that's what it was.
colors,
That's what it was. Different colors were there, different races, different ages.
different religions.
It was such a beautiful mix of people that were there, and I can't wait to do it again. So,
And speaking of prayer,
yeah,
is it
we'll
time
end,
to
we'll
say
end on a
goodbye?
quick little prayer. Lord, thank you so much for all of the blessings once again, and thank you for all of the support that we've gotten from the community and getting 1,000 views the last episode. We pray that you continue to give us the strength and the wisdom to do these shows so we can bring good, local, truthful news to the community, and so we can use this platform to bring people together for you, God. and we can all work together peacefully to better our community, to better our futures and better the futures of the children as well, Lord. So we just pray that we have a good week coming up here, and we just are so grateful. We want to stay in ultimate gratitude for every day that we have is a blessing here on this earth, Lord, and we have only you to thank for that, Lord. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. As always, well done. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week. The Chips and Salsa Show, New Mexico or New America.
It's either New freaking Mexico or New America. You pick your...
Changing from the land of disenchantment to the land of enchantment. Back again.
To the land of an NFL team with New America.